going on, everybody? College basketball Saturdays here, 130 plus games, but I just figured I'd break down a few really quickly to get this thing started. So I picked out the first 3 bets that I made today. Let's get into it.
I mean, is Cooper Rush worth 2.5 points? I would hope Quinn Ewers put up a decent stat line against Arizona State. If he didn't, we have a real problem.
You can say the same thing about Creighton. Okay, they had the one good game against Kansas at home.
When Toast talks about the kicking market, it's like some earth is flat shit. Andy, true or false, this is going to be a dog walking.
Dog walking. This is my dog walking of the day. I think it's going to be very ugly. Dog walking. I think this is going to be ugly.
Hey, get the sauce.
First up, we have Tennessee on the road at Texas A&M, and I'll just come out with it. I really like Texas A&M in this spot here at home. The reason that I like Texas A&M is because we cannot really trust this Tennessee team on the road. First and foremost, if you take a look at just their road games in the SEC as far as offensively is concerned, they're not a threat. 101 offensive rating. They're barely shooting 30% from behind the arc, a 47.5% effective field goal percentage, or just under that, and they're not getting any points on the fast break at all, which is going to be really concerning against the Texas A&M defense that obviously has been playing fantastic at home and on the road for that matter, but at home in the SEC has been fantastic. As you can see, a 98 defensive rating, opponents' effective field goal percentage under that 47% mark, opponents only shooting just under 32% from deep from them. So I trust this Texas A&M team defensively at home against a Tennessee team that I don't think that we can trust on the road. I wanted to figure out a different way to pick apart this Tennessee offense, so I figured that the best way to do that was take a look at teams that could rebound like Texas A&M, because that is one thing that we know about Texas A&M is that offensively they're not fantastic, but they can rebound the ball. They're the #1 rebounding team in the country for a reason, especially on the offensive side. And you have a Tennessee offense that has struggled against teams that are even remotely close to Texas A&M. If you take a look at Tennessee's schedule, they've only played 2 teams that are remotely close to Texas A&M as far as their rebounding ability, and that was Kentucky twice and Auburn. And as you can see on the screen, when they played Kentucky and Auburn, their offense struggled mightily. An under 100 offensive rating, an effective field goal percentage of under 42%, a three-point percentage of under 22%. They're not getting out on the fast break and moving, which means they're not really turning defense into offense. So there's a lot of things to worry about Tennessee offensively. If you take a look at what Tennessee has done on the road, it's really not that impressive. They got blown out by Florida by 30 points. Then they go on the road to Texas. They barely win that game by 4. In a game that could have went either way, they blew a big lead. Then they go on the road and lose to Vanderbilt. Then they go on the road and lose to Auburn. Then they go on the road and beat a really, really bad Oklahoma team. They slaughtered them. And then they lose to Kentucky on the road as well. So again, my point being is that this Tennessee team, though defensively is fantastic, has really struggled on the road. They haven't really had those home whistles. And I don't think if they're getting those home whistles and hitting a whole bunch of threes like they tend to do at home, I don't think they really have a chance in this game, because if they are cold or struggling from behind the arc, they're going to have a really significant disadvantage as far as rebounding is concerned. So I really like Texas A&M here. I would play them up to -2. I think they win this game by a possession. Next game up, we have Kentucky at Alabama, and this one's simple for me, guys. Points, points, and more points. Look at the couple graphics that I made for you guys to take a look at. Kentucky on the road this season. Doesn't matter who they've had in the lineup. They've been absolutely spectacular. A 112 offensive rating, shooting nearly 56% as far as effective field goal percentage, nearly 40% from beyond the arc. They're getting out and running in the fast break as well. And if you take a look at home in SEC games, they've been amazing as well. 42% from behind the arc, a 60.36% effective field goal percentage, an offensive rating at nearly 128. I mean, this Alabama team has been absolutely insane. It's really been fun to watch when they're going. Another spot that I really like to play Alabama this year has been off a loss. Alabama has 4 losses this year. They lost to Purdue, went and scored 100 against Illinois. They lost to Oregon. They went and scored 90 against North Carolina. They lost to Mississippi. They went and scored 102 against Kentucky. They lost to Auburn. They went and scored 98 to Missouri and lost that game. So, and as you can see on the screen, it looks really good. A 121.5 offensive rating, an effective field goal percentage at almost 54%, shooting the 3 ball at 32%. And if you take out, I think it's that last Missouri game, that 3-point percentage goes way up, almost to like 35 or 36%. So I think that number could be even a little bit better as well. And as far as Kentucky goes, when they play teams with pace like Alabama, top 40 in pace, their offense has been absolutely nothing but but humming. Almost 40% from deep, only almost a 60% effective field goal percentage, an offensive rating at 131.5. I don't think you have to worry about these teams defensively at all tomorrow. I think it's going to be an absolute slugfest. I think you're going to be seeing raining threes, a whole bunch of dunks, a whole bunch of plays in transition. Points. Is 177 or 180 or 181 by the time you're watching this a lot of points? You goddamn right it is, but it's high for a reason. High totals are high for a reason. Low totals are low for a reason. I truly believe that. It really doesn't matter what sport you are. I think we see a ton of points, an absolute firework display here in Alabama tonight. All right, next game up, Missouri on the road at Arkansas. And I get that first look, you see Missouri, who just got absolutely done spanking Alabama, scoring 110 points at home and now laying a short number against an Arkansas team that isn't very good. Losing 3 of their last 4 could be appealing, but I would pump the brakes on that because I'm going to definitely be on the Hogs, and I think you should too. Let's start with Missouri. I'm not going to sit here and try to poke holes on if Missouri is a good basketball team or not. They're number 4 in the SEC. That's the best conference in America. Obviously, they've been playing good basketball. I would like to say that Arkansas isn't a pushover like everybody makes them out to be. I understand that they've lost 3 of their last 4, but defensively, they've been really good. Missouri's going to see an Arkansas defense that ranks 6th nationally over the last month. And as you can see, at home in SEC play, they've actually done pretty well, holding opponents to under 32% from behind the arc, an effective field goal percentage of under 50%. They're not allowing fast break points at all, only 6.5 opponents fast break points per game, which is really good. And as you can see, as far as Missouri is concerned, against top 30 Ken Palm defenses, the offensive rating is all right, but the effective field goal percentage is really bad. And you can see they're going to get a lot of fast break points, or they have been getting a lot of fast break points when they play defenses like Arkansas. And I think that Arkansas is in a really good position here to slow Missouri down and make them play in the half court, which should be playing into the hands of the Arkansas defense for sure. I understand that the Arkansas offense doesn't have great numbers, but at the same time, John L. Davis is really starting to come into his own here for this team, which is, I think, really, really big. We remember how big he was for FAU in the years past. And also keep in mind that Arkansas has also played some good teams like Auburn, Texas A&M, Alabama over their last 4 or 5 games. So it's not like they're playing some scrubs as far as defensively. And it wouldn't be a video if I didn't talk about free throw percentage in some way, somehow. And I think that there's a little bit of an angle here. Missouri has done a really good job of getting to the line, and they haven't really been great at the free throw line, only shooting 71.5% from the line. That's 11th in the SEC. But what I wanted to point your attention to is that they're not going to be getting very many trips to the line because Arkansas, especially over the last 4 games, has been fantastic and not fouling. And I think that's because they're starting to play better as a team. This is going to be a close game, and free throws are going to matter. Missouri, not a good free throw shooting team, only 71.5%. That's 11th in the SEC. Arkansas has done a really good job over the last 4 games in the SEC of not sending teams to the free throw line. Less than a 26% free throw rate over the last 4 games for Arkansas. That's like top 10 in the country. So I don't think Missouri is going to get very many easy points here because they're not going to be getting them in transition, and they're not going to be getting them at the free throw line. I think Arkansas can win this game easily. So I took Arkansas on the money line at plus 130. It's moved down a little bit, but I still think they win this game. If you can get Arkansas anywhere at plus money, I think that's going to be a good bet.